გამარჯობა, მეგობრებო. ბავშვები გაიყვანეთ, ახლა ინგლისურად უნდა ვილაპარაკო. იმიტომ უნდა ვილაპარაკო ინგლისურად, რომ ძალიან მნიშვნელოვანი სტუმარი ყავს, როგორც იქნა დავით ახმეტი. არა, დიდი ძალისხმევა არ დაჭირვებია. უბრალოდ დროის ამბავი იყო და დიდ სულოვნად დამთანხმდა, რომ აი ამ ჩემს მოკრძალებულ სტუდიაში მოსულიყო საქართველოს ნაკრების მთავარი მწვრთნელი რიჩარდ კოკერილი. Very nice to see you here.
Thank you.
It's a big pleasure, big honor to see you in my little fortress of solitude. Yeah. Well, you see what's around. I've done everything by myself with my hands, but it's a space where we can openly speak about rugby. Not a lot of spaces you can find in Georgia to speak about rugby, like for a long time. But yeah, I created this place especially for conversations like we're gonna have. Okay, let's start with the warm-up question. And you are my last hope to find out the truth about it, because Levan Maisashvili apparently didn't know anything about that. Why is that all the coaches around the world, they stay on watch the game from the higher point, from the strategic point, and only the French coaches stay on the surface of the ground?
Because the French coaches, and I've coached in France and done both.
That's why I'm asking you.
They think they can influence the referee.
Really?
Yeah, and it's theatre for the TV. You know, they say 3 points, and they think it's more. I don't know the right word. Theatrical. So they like being on the touchline, which is okay.
So it's about influencing the referee, not the players, right?
Players don't listen when you.
No.
No.
So it's the referee.
And I think it's about the individual being the star of the show.
Wow, that's the first. I've never heard this version. I asked a couple of people about this, but this is the first time I hear about the referees. Okay, the warm-up is over. We are warmed up, so let's start with. I would like to continue with your quotation. You said. I remember it was the end of the Romania game at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
You said this team doesn't even know how high it can go, and that's my job to bring it up.
Yes.
So what this team is capable of? We're talking about rugby national team of Georgia.
I think it certainly has the capability.
And where do you see these capabilities? Where is the potential?
Well, I think we can get better. I think with what the union have created with the Black Lion is very good. And we're only in our 4th year of existence, so that's only going to get stronger. The quality of the coaching group and the quality of guys like Joe Booth, the head of medical that's come in, Dan Bow that's just come in from the UK. The players will keep understanding and learning more about how professional they need to be. The local-based players, obviously, but also when the French-based players come into camp, it'll be different to the French club. So we need to be fitter. We need to be test fit because we're going to play against good teams. And you know, we beat Japan in the summer. I was disappointed and frustrated that we didn't beat Fiji because we were good enough to do that, but we made some simple mistakes and they're a good team. So if you make mistakes, they punish you, and they did. And Australia, we pushed very hard. But we need to, across the board, we just need to keep improving slowly, bit by bit. And I genuinely think if we do that and we get some continuity and stability within the team and give the younger guys more experience leading into the World Cup, I've no doubt that we have a realistic opportunity to get to a quarter-final of the World Cup, which we've obviously never done before. That's going to I think we're capable of that. I think there's a lot of hard work to go. We've got a lot of hard work to do, and to believe in ourselves that we're good enough to not only compete, because I think we're competing with the good teams now.
Yeah, I think we are already competing.
But be able to
win,
to beat them. So, we're 12th in the world. The teams ahead of us, just ahead of us, Wales, Australia. You've got Fiji, Italy. So they're big teams, aren't they? The resources that Australia, Wales, Italy have big resources. Fiji not so much, but they have
human resources.
They have very rich pool of talent, and genetically, they have some special players. So, from my experience of only being here 10 months, we do. Well, in English, we bat above our level. We're middleweights, and we're always fighting heavyweights. Okay. With the resource we have, not just financial, but playing resource, the number of players that play, we're already doing exceptionally well.
What is our X factor in this case? You said Fiji has a talent resource. They have the financial. The Australians or Welsh have. What is our X factor, or what is our resource? What is that something that we can build on?
Well, firstly, we have X factor. We have some amazing talent in the national team that would grace any team. Yeah. So we have. Genetically, we're good. We're blessed because we have short, stocky, strong men. Wrestling, weightlifting is obviously a big sports in this country. And I'm still learning about Georgian culture, and that's improving all the time. But we're used to fighting, like culturally. We're used to defending, fighting, being the underdogs. So I think we have a unique historical culture that makes us difficult to beat. And as more than I've seen in other countries I've coached, they love Georgia. They genuinely love their country. And they actually love each other. They have a relationship with each other that is very tight and very loyal. And I think you see that when you see Georgian teams, not just the rugby team, but teams in general, when they represent Georgia, it's a very special thing.
To support that opinion, I will tell you what one of my guests told me a couple of shows ago. He was vice president of Rugby Union back in 90s, and he said that they were working on creating an image of a Georgian player in France. And he said that we were working on an image of a hardworking, honest patriot. You think it worked? It's the case now?
The boys are certainly patriotic. Yep. I've no doubt of that. And like any culture, you have players that are more dedicated than others. You have players that work harder than others. But we're a relatively new country, aren't we, from a rugby point of view? Mm-hmm. If I'm correct, our first official Test match was 1989.
89. So
that's not very long ago, is it?
Not at all.
When, if you think about the game being professional since 96, 97. So it's a relatively new sport for Georgia. Yes. And in a very short period of time, we've become very good. And that's and I'm getting the benefit of that because there's been the amount of work that's gone in the last 35 years has been huge. I think Georgian rugby is only going to get stronger. With more children will play, they'll play from a younger age. The knowledge of the game will become deeper.
Yeah, that's
The depth of the knowledge for coaches will become deeper, and that'll only make the national team, the Black Lions and the national team, stronger.
The guys who have been here from national team, when you were new, relatively, and I asked them, well, how is he? What does he do? Is he strict? Is he fair? Or the first thing they mentioned was the dress code. They said he's very strict with the dress code.
Yes.
What you wear
Yes.
in the gym, on the field.
Yep.
Why? What does it serve? Why is it so important for you?
Because one, we're a team. We're not individuals, so we have to look like a team.
Even if nobody sees you, you see each other.
The most important time you work is when no one's watching.
Yeah.
We can all be a rock star and the hero in front of a big crowd, but you have to be a hero when you're training in the dark, in the cold, in the gym, when you're doing extra fitness. So, for me, it's part of discipline. There's a reason why armies have uniform, because they want to be identified, they want to be together, they want to be one identity. And that's what, for me, from my rugby upbringing, those parts of discipline are really important. So, and it's not difficult. Players get given the kit.
Yeah.
We wash the kit.
Yeah.
All they've got to do is wear it.
Absolutely.
So, and the same with timekeeping. So, there's a correlation between discipline off the pitch and discipline on the pitch. So, if I'm the head coach, I'm always in the right kit. So I set an example to everybody else. And I expect you to wear the right kit. Because the person that is late, or the person that can't be bothered to get ready for training tomorrow and wear the right kit, will be the same person that will miss a tackle, or doesn't know the call, or doesn't understand his job. Because those people, in my opinion, are unreliable. They will let the team down. Maybe not every day, but
at some point,
in the big games, when the pressure's on, that behaviour away from the pitch will affect what happens on the pitch. It's not because I want people to wear it's a process of discipline. Because I'm part of the team. If you're part of my team, you've got to wear the right kit. You got to work within the rules of the team. Yeah. You can still be a special player. You can still be a rock star on the pitch. But when we're together, we're one team. That's the reason.
Is this already a rule in England or like tier one nations?
In most teams, yes.
Yeah.
But when I was in every team I've coached, Leicester, Edinburgh, dress code is, if you don't wear the right kit, you don't train. Because I'm not going to accept it. Like we shouldn't accept poor discipline on the pitch. And it's a correlate. If you're ill-disciplined off the pitch, how do you expect the team to be disciplined on the pitch? It doesn't. You can't just press a magic button and everything works. So there has to be consistent behaviours of how a team operates.
So for you, it's different angles of one thing, of one shape.
Yeah, I mean, my job is to get the team on the pitch to win games. Yeah. So how do we do that? Well, part of that is we belong to the team, or we just wear what we want. So when you come and watch us train, whether it's the Black Lions or the national team, we look like a team because we're well dressed, we're on time, we're training hard. Is that the impression of the national team or the Black Lions you want to see, or do you want to see a team that's late and in all different kit and ill-disciplined and just do what they want? Well, that's what you'll get on the pitch. And teams are about sometimes sacrifice and not always doing what you want to do. Because if I asked 30 players what they wanted to do, they'd do 30 different things.
Absolutely.
That's life, and that's natural. That's human nature. But
that's why you are in charge to have a one.
Well, you know, while I'm the boss, we'll have a dress code and we'll be on time.
Good. Well,
when you're the boss, the rules will be different.
Yeah, I understand. I just wanted to have your opinion, your view on how you see it, and I could totally agree.
And for me, it's just normal behaviour for me. It's normal behaviour. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay. But you just won't play in my team.
Okay. Before we move on, I'd like to offer you some beer. It's a beer that my friends do. That's a very good, done out of very good raw material. Very natural, tasty. So if you are willing to try,
of course,
choose and you.
Well, what do you recommend?
Well, that everything is written like it's a tropical IPA. That's more strong double IPA. That's American IPA. That's a pale lager, and that's.
I'll try the pale lager.
Okay, let me serve you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, then. Seeing the team on the field or at the trainings and so, I think you succeeded with the dress code. But there is one more thing that Levan spoke when he was here about, and that's much bigger thing, patience. He said that our main goal on the field is to be patient. And you also said this.
When we play?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, when we moved to the on the battlefield now.
Yeah.
That you said, even we had a little interview before, you said patience is a key. We need to improve our patience.
Yes.
Let's talk about patience a little bit. What is patience for you? Where do you see we lack patience? And how the work is going on patience?
Patience for us as the national team is when we get opportunities to put pressure on teams and score, potentially, is to be patient enough to not throw the silly pass, not force the play, make good decisions at very critical times. And we're getting better. But as people tell me from the minute I first arrived, Georgians aren't patient people. So it's part of something that will come with experience on the pitch. But we are a little bit sometimes so keen to score. We're so in the moment that we force the play, and we end up turning the ball over, and we lose the opportunity.
Is that because we are a little bit immature, or what it has to do? What kind of
possibly? I mean, a little bit immature in the way that we're a relatively new rugby country.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah.
And look, if you, I'm an Englishman. If you play rugby and you're in England, you start when you're 5 or 6 years old. So, and that's starting to happen in Georgia. But the players that are in the national team at the moment, that they didn't start playing rugby when they were 5 or 6. They probably started when they were 10, 11, 12. So, and we're getting better at that. And we score some amazing tries. Which take amazing skill. Sometimes we don't score really simple tries because we want to do, instead of doing the really simple thing, we want to do the very special thing. And why do the really special thing when you can do the simple thing? And that'll come with time. And you saw that, we've seen it since I've been in charge of the team, both teams. You saw it in the World Cup, against Portugal, we had lots of opportunities to score early, and we didn't. Against Fiji, just before half time, there was a pass that went from Jala to Tabuts at 9-0. If that's 16-0, instead of a forward pass.
But that was a try. It wasn't a forward pass, no?
It wasn't a try because the referee said it was forward.
Yeah.
And with respect. But
Jala should have simply ran.
But that type of excuse for the player, it wasn't forward. Well, it was.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
It's not an excuse. Yeah, I understand.
But mentally, if we go, well, it wasn't forward, it was the referee, and
Yeah.
it was everybody else's fault apart from
Exactly.
ours. We have to take responsibility. So we have to do that at training. So when the opportunity comes when we play next, the All Black 15, those passes, don't invite the officials into the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because sometimes you won't like the answers that they give you. So officials won't make mistakes, but that pass is good. And Aka's a metre deeper. Suddenly we're 16-0 up. Yeah. And maybe the game's different.
That was a nice sentence. Was it yours? Don't invite referees to the game.
No, well, don't invite them into the game, because if you invite them into the game, they're gonna influence the game. It's the same at scrum. Don't invite the referee into the game. Make sure we do our things, the simple things, so well that you're not drawing attention of the referee to you.
Working on the patience, how does it happen in life?
Well, experience. The one thing young people don't have is experience.
Yeah, but how do you correct? What do you look at when you want to work on patience?
You create parts of your training session where you have opportunities to make decisions, and the difference between the good players and the very good players is that the very good players make the right decisions at the right time. And the players that aren't quite as good, they make poor decisions at the wrong time. So if there's an opportunity to play, let's play. And let's make the pass and let's score. Or make the play and create an opportunity for someone else to score. But if that opportunity then closes down, look after the ball, make a good decision, and try and score the next phase. And if you can't score the next phase, try and score the next phase. Or if it's the right option, then kick the ball down the other end and go and chase them and put them under pressure. It's those things that you have to keep practicing and getting the players to understand. You play, you review. What were you thinking there? What was the situation? Okay, what would you do next time? If I was in that position again? Because most players can tell you what they should do, but in the heat of the moment, and some people, because they want to prove themselves, they want to show how good they are. Some people are under pressure for their place in the team, so they want to show the coach, look at me. And sometimes, every rugby player, every really good rugby player, they start with doing the basics really well.
Yeah.
You watch the best teams in the world, what do they do really well? They do the basic things really well. They don't do the flash things really well, because that'll come.
That's extra.
That will come with the flow of the game. Yeah. But they catch, they pass, they tackle, they defend, they talk, they organise, they know their jobs. And a lot of it doesn't require talent. It just requires effort.
Okay, so talking about the players, since you mentioned the good player and the very good, cheers. A player and a good player and a very good player. Well, rugby today has become a very systematic game. Maybe it always was, but not nowadays it's totally one big scheme. Where, in your opinion, is a place for an let's say individual, or maybe a player with some flair or with some... how many such players can you have in a team, in your opinion? Not because usually I know from the coaches they are looking for warriors.
Oh, yeah.
How many players and how many warriors you need to win the game?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. I think you need a balance. I think you can have, and it depends what you call flair and what's X factor. So, for example, I coached Manu Tuolagi at Leicester, and his X factor was he was so physical.
Yeah.
He would run over people.
Yeah,
his brother Alessandro was the same. You have the two of them together, you become a very difficult team to play against. So, and you have guys like Nini.
Yeah.
Like Nini's got X factor. Like some of the stuff Nini does, you cannot coach.
Absolutely.
He's born with that talent.
And if you cut that off,
so
it's over of Nini.
And that is that is the art of coaching, is that I'm a hooker.
Yeah.
Me and Nini see the world very differently.
Exactly.
Now, that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because you don't want too many of me, but also you don't want too many of Nini. So there's a real fine balance. He wants to play, so you have to give him the freedom to play. And with that, there's going to be a mistake every now and then. But as long as he realises when he's playing, if suddenly the opportunity shuts down, he looks after the ball. We set it up.
He becomes a hooker.
And he doesn't. His actions don't penalise the team by giving the opposition opportunity. Now that was naturally going to happen. And I'd always say we can play from anywhere on the pitch, but as soon as the opportunity isn't there anymore, we then have to make good decisions and not take too much risk. What's acceptable in a test match? Is 50-50 a good enough risk? If you're going to toss a coin and go heads or tails, win or lose, it means you're a big gambler, and you might win, but you might not. And as a Georgian team, we want to try and be consistently winning more than losing. And we have special players in Bexon and Sagi, and we got some special front rowers. Those young props are doing a great job, and will get better and better and better. Mako is, he's done some great things for the Black Lions and the national team playing at fly half. He's got X factor.
He's got.
But he's the general of the team, so he has to control that urge to play all the time, because sometimes the right thing is to kick it down the other end, but his mind might be telling him, my instinct is to run. So it's getting the balance of that, and then getting them to understand the consequences, because if we are, the end of the Japanese game, you're 2 points up. Do you play and risk, or do you stick it down the other end and go and defend? And because we were happy to win, weren't we?
Absolutely, very much.
So, and what's enjoyment? Players say, I hear it all the time, not just here, across the world. I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy playing. Yeah. But at test match level, the enjoyment's different to club level, because is playing against Fiji and enjoying it and losing by 9 points, is that enjoyment, or is it probably not playing as well against Japan but winning by 2 points? Which did we enjoy most? So there's a balance to it, isn't there? And everybody will have a different opinion to that.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to definitely find the balance. Otherwise,
of course. Yeah,
otherwise, if you don't enjoy, you lose the audience, simply.
Yeah.
And you lose the interest.
Yeah.
Yourself.
So I enjoy it when we win. Play well and we win. If we play badly, I still want to win. So if we play really well and lose, well, that means we're gradually improving our game. So, and there's a balance, because everybody's different. I want Nini to enjoy it. I want Matko, I want Kavezo, all the, Aka, he can score tries for fun. So you want those guys to be engaged in the team. But also sometimes if it's a day where you have to kick the ball and chase it, and their jobs are to chase kicks and tackle, I want them to chase kicks and tackle. When it's the day for throwing it around, and because it's the opportunity and there's chances to play, you want them to be able to play. So, and it's a really fine balance, because when Nini goes and he creates magic and he scores or creates a score, that's what you want. But when someone goes and they make a mistake and the opposition score, why didn't we kick the ball? So it's not an easy thing.
Since we are talking about consistency, I'd like to ask you about another skill, or we can call it, let's call it skill. We spoke about patience. Let's now speak about motivation. I'm talking about different type of motivation. I watched all the game. Of course, everybody watched all the games of Black Lion, the last 4 games that we won the title.
Yeah.
And there were, I think in all 4 games, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely in 3, there were 2 different halves.
Yes.
Winning the first one, seriously, and being a complete opposite. Let's not be so radical, but being a different team in a second one.
We were very, very good first half, average second half.
Average second half.
To be kind.
My question is that lack of motivation in the second half when you were winning with a good margin.
Yep.
Is it a problem of a tier 2 team, or is it a problem of a Georgian team, or it's a problem of everybody?
I think it's one of the fundamental things that...
Not to finish them completely.
Well,
Yeah,
and that
in the
is
second half.
definitely a fundamental issue for us as a rugby nation playing in those tournaments, because we can... All the games, especially when we played, I think, Leicester Tigers away. We started really well, very disciplined first half. We were 30 points up at half time, or 32 points up at half time, or whatever it was, 33-0 I think it was. And the second half they beat us 14-5.
Yeah.
And the difficulty is, there's two things. One, when you know you're going to win, people will play differently. They play selfishly because they get the ball and they try. And so we start the game disciplined because we're well prepared. We know we're going to have to be good, because if you're not, they're a good enough team to create problems for you. But you get to half time, even though all the right things are said about let's stick to our plan, let's keep discipline, let's don't be selfish, all the things that you want from your team, it's very hard to do that. And I think that is hard for us then to develop the Black Lions and develop the players going into test matches, because suddenly you play on an All Blacks 15 is that if you don't get it, all those little bits of detail, you don't get them right, they'll score, you'll get punished.
Yeah, for sure.
And we need to be playing at a consistently higher level from a Black Lions point of view, in particular.
In every game.
In as many games as possible, because there's two things. We learn more. We as a Black Lions team, we don't lose very often.
Yeah.
Now that's now if you're playing the best teams in the world and you're not losing very often, you're the Springboks or you're Ireland. But we need to be tested more so we can find solutions for difficult situations in games, because at the moment in Super Cup, and that's no disrespect to the tournament or the teams in it, but if we play poorly, we're so physically dominant that we can still win the game, because we'll do enough good things to win, but we'll still do lots of poor things that against better teams we'll get punished. So it's you're completely right. Our first half to second half has been they're very different, and we've talked about it, we've reviewed it, we've trained it.
How do you solve it? How do you improve it?
Well, I think, well, it's a bit. So if you watch the All Blacks play Samoa, they'll win 44-22 because they get a good lead, but naturally it's human nature. For me, the best way to solve it is to play better teams.
Better teams, well, of course.
And then you have to concentrate, and you have to be accurate, and you have to do everything well all of the time. The good teams do everything well all of the time.
That's why what my question was about. That how do we make Black Lion be on the same level all the time, even when they're losing or they're winning or it's a draw?
Well, we need to play better teams, because we need to learn that if we play a half of rugby like some of the halves in the last 4 games, teams will beat us. If you do that, if we join the URC, and we did that,
well, there won't be such games.
You wouldn't win a game.
Yeah.
You have to be consistent across the whole game, and that's not anybody's fault, because and that's the reality that we have, because this Black Lions team, every tournament they enter, apart from the Challenge Cup, they win.
Yeah. We have a partner, TBC Bank, which has a little question.
Yes.
even though we try to be a little bit...
I do have an account with them, so it's okay.
So even yeah, really? So let's try to answer the question correctly. So even though we try to talk about advanced topics about rugby in this show, but TBC's questions are very simple for the audience who doesn't really understand rugby, who wants to get into it, and with the simple questions and simple answers, we make some things clear.
Okay.
So today's TBC's question will be: what are the options after penalty was awarded to the team? What options does the team have?
So you can, if it's in range, you can kick for goal for the posts for 3 points. You can kick the ball to the touchline and have a line out. You can tap and run and play, or you can opt to take a scrum.
Simple.
Very.
Thank you very much. Before we move to the plans of a Black Lion and the upcoming tests and so on, I would like to more, because I don't know when again I'm going to lure you in here. So I'd like to discuss some things that I'm interested in, because your point of view, you are an experienced coach, you are a national team coach, you are from different culture, you are from rugby culture, and such things are very interesting for me and for the audience that I have. And if you don't mind, I will try to get some
no problem. Ask away.
Information from you. Well, what do you prefer? Today there's a big discussion in modern rugby whether the player should be multifunctional, could cover different positions, or it should be a specialist of one position.
I think there is some advantages to have players that play in different positions. But I think you have to be very careful that they become a jack of all trades and master of none, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And especially so, in the backs in particular, where you can have a fullback can play on the wing, or a wing can play fullback, or a winger can play centre, or a centre can play on the wing, just for replacements and for especially depending on squad sizes. In World Cups you can only have 33 players, so if you can have guys that play in multiple positions, it's always beneficial to the team. But generally you would like your best players to be in one position, and they try and be the best in the world at that position. So, but there is definitely scope for players playing in different positions, but I think you have to be a little bit careful that you don't confuse the players too much by asking them to play, am I a centre or a winger, and what do I concentrate on, because they're different skills, or if you're a fullback. And as you've seen with South Africa, sometimes Cheslin Colby is playing 9 certain plays, or he's throwing the ball in, or so there are little quirks that teams look for, or different tactics, but generally just doing the simple things and the basic things very well, and making sure your players understand that.
One more thing that quite concerns me, and I will tell you why and from which point of view. These constant changes in rules.
Yep.
I say to my guests, and we talk about this a lot, the rule changes and the law changes is okay for those who understand rugby already, and they know, and they can, in their mind, they can adjust a new rule and they can understand. But for a Georgian public, for example, who is on the edge of understanding the game, and these constant changes, they create constant problems and constant obstacles to. They finally memorize one thing, and in 2 months it's over. There's a new rule. Do you think this Well, and all these changes are done in sake of safety or entertainment and speeding up the game or something. Do you think these changes serve a good service to rugby? Well, I gave you my point.
Yeah, I think it's not just a problem here. I think in Europe, in England in particular, you want neutral people that don't really understand rugby to come and watch. The neutral supporter, not the avid rugby fan. People that want it's the same issue. Is that one day the rules are like that, and like you say, next season the rules are different. And look, the safety aspect, I completely agree with you. You've got to keep the game as safe as possible.
Me too, but I don't understand so many changes in.
No, and look, and a lot of it is down to the world we live in. If you look at American football with the lawsuit against head injuries, rugby, if you're not careful, will be going down the same route as American football. I think it's trying to make the game different to make it more entertaining for the spectators. I'm unsure about that because depends what you enjoy. There will be some people that love the combat of the forwards. There'll be someone that loves the open play and they run it from everywhere. And there are different types. If you want to watch that, you can go and play sevens or watch sevens. The game is meant to be for all shapes and sizes: tall, fat, thin, fast, slow. Any colour or culture, it doesn't matter. There's a position for you on a rugby pitch. Whereas we've got to be very careful that by just, I played rugby from 10 years old till I was 34 because I enjoyed playing rugby. I didn't play rugby for the spectators to enjoy the game. I did it because it was about the people that played the game. I play rugby because I enjoy it. So my personal opinion is that, okay, we can adjust the rules to a certain degree to make it, flow more or make it good for everybody on the pitch. But who are we trying to please here? The people that play it or the people that watch it? Now, I know there's a balance because you want to sell the television rights and you want people to come and watch, but that sort of and that's sort of what how I see it really is that some people will come and watch a game of rugby because they love the line-out drive and the scrum contest and the combat. Some will want to watch it because of the passing and the catching. So you want all that in the game, but who are we trying to please?
Yeah, my personal opinion is that you shouldn't. The referee, once again, repeating your beautiful sentence, that you shouldn't invite them into the game. Well, in my opinion, referee shouldn't interrupt the game flow. And that happens, for example, with the 5-second ruck rule.
Yep.
Well, if some team wants to have a slow ruck, what's the problem? That's his tactics. Let him play. Let them play as they like, as they understand the philosophy.
And I think
that's my opinion.
Yeah. And I'm a little bit the same. Is that it should be? Look, and I've heard it a lot from referees over my whole career. I want to make the game flow. I want the game to be entertaining. And I go, well, the referee shouldn't be the person that decides that. The teams should be the people that decide that. It's not the referee. The referee's job is to referee the laws of the game, not to decide how the game is played. Certainly British commentators, they don't like the caterpillar ruck and they talk about it. Well, that's just that one person's opinion, and most of them haven't actually played the game. So, and so it comes back to why do we changing the laws for safety? I completely agree.
Yeah. That's out of any discussion.
Changing the laws of the game for entertainment and to make it more exciting. Well, it's not more exciting for the coaches that lose games.
Yeah.
that lose their jobs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a real balance to it, really.
And too many rules means too much the increasing role of the referee and increasing pressure on the referee.
Yep.
And too many mistakes. And too much blame on the referee.
Well, the thing is, I've played and coached 40 years, and there's sometimes I watch a game and I don't know what's going on. So imagine if you've only just come to the game or it's a new sport, or you've only watched rugby for a year and things happen in the game and you just start. I look at it and go, I've no idea what the referee's doing there. I've no idea what he said or what the decision's for. Okay. But hey, no ref, no game. So we have to be. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, but I'm glad to hear your honest opinion about that, because there should be a discussion about this. I'm sure there is discussion, but
also who drives the initiative to change the laws. Generally, it's the Southern Hemisphere teams because it suits them.
Saba Abulashvili, the international referee, was sitting there a week ago.
Yeah.
And he said that most of these changes are initiated by the coaches
of the Southern Hemisphere teams.
Yeah?
Of course they are.
Yeah. Do they have so much power? Well, apparently they do.
Well, and also it's if you play in the Northern Hemisphere, if you're a Six Nations team, you play the Six Nations in February and March. It's cold. It's wet. It doesn't lend to a free-flowing game, and it's big stakes. You go to the Southern Hemisphere where they play Super Rugby, and generally it's dry. There's good pitches. Not that there aren't good pitches in the Northern Hemisphere, but it's dry and it's fast, and both teams want to play the same. I've known lots of Southern Hemisphere coaches have come and coached in the Premiership, and they just can't cope with it because every team plays differently. Yeah. You can have an entertaining game if both teams want to entertain. You can't have an entertaining game if one team wants to play and one team wants to kick. Because it's so, and that's the beauty of the game, isn't it?
I'm sorry, I forgot to warn you about that. But we have one little rubric there, not a big thing. We call it a story of one try. And each guest recalls and retells a story of his favorite try, or a try that he scored, or maybe his team scored, or maybe he was just watching on TV. And the memorable... Sorry, once again, that I didn't tell you to think about it, because I was so much into preparing things here that I forgot. Well, this is one-man job. What can I do?
Yes, okay.
You can take your some time. We can talk about other things, and then when you are ready, we can come back to...
Okay, carry on.
Yeah, let's move to the plans for the Autumn Internationals. We have 3 games, new strong oppositions, different oppositions, I would say.
Yeah, 3 very different teams.
And how do we prepare for each of them? All Blacks A or 15 or...
Yeah, I think the first thing is that we, as a national team, we don't spend a lot of time together. So we have to make sure that our game is prepared properly. So the one thing that a lot of people don't understand about international rugby, and it was the same when I was involved with England, is that the actual time with the players is tiny. So the first thing you have to do is get your game right. All the simple parts of your game, your tactics, your DNA of how you want to play. And then you get that right first, and then you can start thinking about the opposition, because a lot of teams can, if you're not careful, you spend so much time worrying about the opposition that you don't actually get your own game right. So leading into, we meet we're going to Paris on Sunday. We're meeting the French-based players, which there's 21 of in the squad, and we've got 2 days of preparation, but then those we've got Monday and Tuesday next week, and then those players will then go back to their French clubs and play Pro 2 on Friday and top 14 on Saturday, and then we get them back 7 days before we play New Zealand. Well, New Zealand at the moment are already training. The first team are playing. There's 9 of the All Black 15 training with the first team, and so there's going to be, they're going to be well prepared.
The team is strong, and I saw.
Yeah, strong side, which is great. Like, I want to play the best teams we can because it's the best way to learn. Like, the good thing is a lot of our French-based players are playing on a regular basis, which last year wasn't as common. So we've got a lot of our guys have been playing lots of minutes, which is good. Obviously, the Black Lions have had their 4 games and they've got good match fitness. Now it's about plugging it all together and making sure that, as a coaching team, as a head coach, decide what are the really important things that we need to work on, and make sure that we work on them.
And what are those very important things?
Well, the same as every team: set piece, scrum, line out, defence. If you haven't got a scrum, you can't play. Mm-hmm. If you can't defend or win ball at a line out, you can't win. If you can't defend, you can't win. So those 3 things are big rocks for us. They're the. If you haven't got those, you got to have problems. And then our phase play and our shape and getting our best players in the right positions to do what they do well. So, and it's a short period of time because we have 2 days. Then the players will go away and play for their clubs. 21 of the 35 that we're going to have. So they're now going to think about club calls and what's important, and there's a completely different distraction, and that's how it is. And then we get them back, and we've got to then get them back in Georgian mode again, which won't be too difficult. But it would be lovely to have a 2-week preparation like Scotland and Ireland and England and Wales and New Zealand and Australia and South Africa. But that's just not how it is at the moment. So, and that's okay. But we'll be ready. We'll be well prepared. We'll be motivated. And look, it's the first time we've played a New Zealand team since the World Cup in 2015. So they've picked a good side. I think it's a good show of respect from New Zealand that they're happy to play us because they think we're strong enough to give them a good test, and they want to. They've come to play Munster the week before we play them, and then they come and play us in Montpellier. So. And when you read the reports coming from New Zealand, they want their second-tier players to come and experience a different type of rugby and experience. Munster's a unique place to go. Mm-hmm. Playing Georgia's a unique team to play. So I'm looking forward to how that looks and how we adapt to it. We always tend to be a bit rusty first game and always be better second game.
That's
what everybody tells me. But
I
want to knock the rust off.
That's a curse we have.
Yeah, well, there's all those. That's the challenge.
Have you
isn't
been working on it, not to somehow cancel this curse?
Look, and I think it's difficult because coming into the summer tour, we played on the 17th of March against Portugal with the Black Lions, and we played 2 games between the 17th of March and the 6th of July when we played Fiji. That's a long time. So, and the French guys are playing every week, and they're coming from all different clubs with all different ideas, and then you have to bring it together very quickly to get a team on the field. So, club coaching and test coaching is just so different. It's a different type of coaching, not better or worse. It's just different.
Different.
But the thing you don't have with test teams is time. Same for any team. Coaches always want more time.
Yeah. But there is no more time.
No, there's no more time.
But thinking about the previous 3 games in summer, what would be the best thing to take from there and take it into to November test, and what would be the worst thing there to improve for November?
I think the best thing is that we're good at staying in games.
Sorry?
We're good at staying in games. So, for example,
staying in games.
Australia,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
we're 19-3 down, and then with 20 minutes to go, we've got a chance to win the game.
Yeah.
Like, keep that. You know, we don't go away. We're hard to beat. We have resilience to keep our heads up and keep in the fight. I'd like us not to be 19-3 down to start with, but, you know.
Especially not with the All Blacks.
Exactly. And generally we start games very well. So, you know, keep those things. We have a great spirit. We start games well, and just keep the consistency of our play. You know, if it's working, keep doing the same things. And probably, what's the worst thing to not take with us? Yeah, just that patience. You know, if it's 3-3 and it's
Again,
if it's 3
patience.
if it's 3-3 and it's, or we might be losing 7-3 or 10-3, you're in the game, so you don't have to force the game. You have to just stick to tactics. You have to stick to the game. You have to keep the percentage of the game with you, because you can force the game and then suddenly you're 17-3 down, and then you're 24-3 down, and then it just... So I think just that little bit of composure, but that'll come with time. And look, we want patience from the players, but also coaches need to be patient, supporters need to be patient. This is a different team that's growing again, and we all want to win. Of course, we all want to win, but you know, as someone quoted to me the other day, you don't just land on top of the mountain, do you? Like there's a whole climbing, there's a whole adventure to get to the top of the mountain. No one just sits at the top of the world. So we're in the foothills and we're climbing the mountain, but we're doing some really good things. You know, occasionally we get a slip and come down the mountain, but then we got to continue, because that's how you build resilience, and that's life, isn't it? Yeah. You know, we all. Sometimes it's great and you're going that way, and sometimes it's not so great and you're going that way. And then you find out what people are really like.
I think I know what you're going to answer, but I'm anyway going to ask you, because it's very important for the audience. Since the All Blacks game isn't a test,
Yep.
and Italy is,
Yep.
and since we have beaten them 2 years ago, and there is a big revenge thing going on, do you consider this game as the most important of the autumn internationals or not?
I think every time you pull on the Georgian jersey, it's an important game, because we represent 4 million Georgians, and so we have a responsibility to. I want to win against the All Blacks. We want to win, because what's the point in playing if you don't go to win? So,
in my opinion, it's going to be a bigger thing than winning against Italy. But that's only me.
Oh, the Italy game has history, because Six Nations, at times they've been very poor. Now we have the Welsh that sit in that position, so maybe Wales are going to take over that competition. But so I think the reality is they're all important games, because if you win them all, we'll be delighted. If you beat the All Blacks and you beat Tonga, but you lose to Italy, but we play our best game, then we'll be satisfied, if not happy. So, and let's look at the reality of it.
Yeah,
we play the All Blacks. Their second team could compete with anybody, so it's going to be. We know it's going to be a challenge. That's what we need. We go and play Italy. So 2 years ago in Batumi, we beat them. It was an amazing result. How many times have we beaten Italy ever?
Once.
Okay. So with what they did in the Six Nations, beat Wales in Wales, beat Scotland in Italy, and drew with France. Should have beaten France.
Yeah, they should have.
They kicked the conversion.
They kicked the conversion badly. That's all.
So
it was nerves.
So they're improving, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now, the reality is that they have two teams in the URC. they've been in the Six Nations for 25 years. So they've had 25 years more exposure to that level than we have. So in the whole of our existence, we've beaten them once. So if you're a betting man, they should beat us. However, we'll be well prepared, we'll be very motivated, and all I'm asking for us is to put our best game on the field. If we play as well as we can, and they're better than us, well, that's well, it's not okay.
It's not okay, but
I'm never going to accept losing, because losing's not good enough. But we have to keep the game in context. So, and that's the key for me. We play our best and they don't, or they're slightly off, we'll beat them. Like the day in Batumi. Everything Nini touched in Batumi turned to gold. And that's brilliant. And it's a great occasion. Same with beating Wales. Same with us beating Japan. You know, we've never beaten Japan in Japan. And the players did it. No, I mean, it's just keeping a measured view. You know, we're trying to develop the team. You can't, and it's hard for me as a coach. And I've changed my view on this over the last 20 years of coaching, is that if you win, you're good. If you lose, you're not. It's a really hard place to live. So we have to look at the performance. We have to look at how we're developing and are we moving forward as a team. If we are, that is a success to a point, because it's going to take time for us to be consistently competitive. At the moment, are we good enough to beat any team on the day? Yeah, probably we are. Any team.
Yeah, okay. I understand what you said. So you mean long-term goals, like that the Georgian team was a competitive.
So if we lose to Italy, does that mean we're a poor team? No, it just means we lost to Italy.
Yeah. Okay, I totally get what you said.
So that's just my opinion. That doesn't mean that we're not going to win. Doesn't mean that we're not going there to win.
When you finish Tonga, you finish the Tonga game, in a couple of weeks you have another challenge. The Challenge Cup.
The Challenge Cup,
yeah. So, but that's a big thing too. Because at some point, if you think, it might be even bigger thing than the autumn internationals. Why? Because we are at the point of our development now that a strong word in a Challenge Cup might influence the further decisions. Potential decisions to get us to URC. So maybe the results there might be even more important than winning or losing games as a national team. What do you think about that?
I think they're two different things. It's important to win test matches. Test matches are about winning games. We play Van at home. We go to Scarlets after that. Obviously last year, Levin and the team did an amazing job by beating Scarlets. I'm not sure they'll be ambushed quite as easily this time. So look, we've got Van are the promoted team from Pro 2, so we'll bring them to Locomotive Stadium and we'll make sure that we have a hot reception for them. So look, same thing. We're you look at the home games, Bayonne and Van, who are both top 14 teams, are good teams. But there's opportunity. You bring them to the Tbilisi, see how motivated they are. We'll be very motivated. So we're going to need to win 3 games out of that 4 to get into a last 16, more than likely. So that means you've got to beat Van, top 14, Bayonne, top 14, Scarlets away,
Gloucester,
and Edinburgh. Edinburgh have half the Scotland team.
It does.
Who are a good side. Scarlets have invested heavily in the summer. So, and let's not forget, all these teams their budgets are, 10 times the budgets that we spend, which isn't, it's not that relevant. But for us to beat any of those teams, like the team did last year, it's a big thing. and we've got to do it 3 times to qualify. So we'll see.
Okay.
But why not?
Have you thought about the try?
I think I'm trying to think what year it was. 2010 Premiership final. Saracens kicked a goal to go in front with about 2 or 3 minutes to go, and from the kick-off, Scott Hamilton won the kick-off, the Kiwi winger, and then Danny Hipkiss ripped the ball away and scored under the posts for us to win the Premiership final. So
Leicester Tigers,
yeah. So yeah, it was a pretty important try at a pretty important time. So, but yeah, there's a lot really. To be honest, I don't really remember that much about.
You were a head coach at that moment.
Yeah.
Did you already had this feeling, oh my God, we lost the game, or not? Or you still had the hope?
Oh, I always have hope.
Yeah.
You know, that's hope that it's the hope that keeps you alive, I think.
Yeah.
I always believe if the game's close, you'll always get one opportunity to win the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the clock says or anything else. If you keep playing and you believe, you'll get another opportunity to win the game. All those games, especially finals, it's just relief. It's not happiness. It's not sadness. It's just relief.
And the moment when Hamilton won the ball from the kickoff, was it a set play?
Yeah, it's something we practiced a lot to try and get the ball back in that situation. So, you know, all the boring hours of them going, why are we practicing this? We're never going to use this. Well, the one time we used it was in the grand final, and it won us the game. So, but yeah, if you coach at Leicester, you have to win. So, the relief or the pressure to win games is probably it's probably the toughest environment I've ever coached in. Because
why?
Because it doesn't matter who's available to play, injuries, test calls. If you coach Leicester, you have to win. I got sacked from Leicester after 8 years as head coach, and we were 4th in the table. We'd never not been in Europe. We'd been to a European final. We'd won the domestic cup. We'd won 3 premierships. We'd been to 2 premiership finals as well, and we'd been to 3 semi-finals. So, yeah, it was a wonderful place to coach. It's a great club, but geez, it's a tough place to be if you don't win.
Yeah, and they had quite hard times last seasons before this last couple of years when they started.
Well, maybe it showed what a good job I was doing. When I left, they finished 11th and 11th. Yeah. So before that, they hadn't ever been outside of semi-finals. So, hey, but that's life.
That was a punishment for sacking you.
Exactly. There is a God.
Okay, that's a good point to finish the conversation. I hope you enjoyed it.
No, very good. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I hope the conversation and what's left to talk about will bring you back. Maybe the beer will bring you back. I don't know. Hope you buy your beer.
Very good.
Yeah. Let's say goodbye to the audience. It was really very pleasant, very interesting to have you here.
Thank you.
As I told you, the goal to create this place was to have conversations like this. And thank you for coming here.
Pleasure.
And for this beautiful conversation.
Thank you.
Hope you will be back.
I will, if you invite me.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Madlobat Quens, Kargat Zandebud.